Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. All the talk of Trump failure and Trump voter regret. Well, I gotta tell you, this week, those narratives are aging like old frickin' milk laid out to bake in the damn desert. And you know how I know this is true? Because we've now got a full CNN segment where even they cannot deny the reality that Trump just had possibly the best week of his presidency. We went from, oh my god, another constitutional crisis and World War III all wrapped into one, to now CNN singing the praise of this president. Folks, CNN's Michael Smerconish just came out and said it flat. By any objective measure, President Trump has his opponents on the run. This might be one of the most productive stretches of presidential leadership I think ever seen. And yes, even CNN knows it. And after all the talks of Democrats making a comeback for 2026 and Trump sending the GOP into the gutter, well, I gotta say it feels very refreshing to hear CNN say that Donald Trump actually has his opponents, quote, on the run. Yup, it's like we've been saying, Kamala Harris, little Timothy Walls, and the rest of these Democrat goons, well, they're not in hiding for no reason. The Democrat brand is failing. Meanwhile, we are mega MAGA, baby. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so take a look at this.
President Trump is having a moment. The first 5 months of Trump 2.0, they're in the books. I'm not shy about voicing my disagreement here with President Trump. We're doing so on radio. Often, whether it's trade, border control, Iran, I find myself agreeing with the goal, but not the approach. But viewed objectively, I have to say that Donald Trump has just had the best week or best 10 days of his second term. As I said last week, I'd have liked to have seen the evidence of Iran being on the nuclear doorstep rather than take Prime Minister Netanyahu's word for it. But the mission was carried out with stealth and with precision. Cut to The Hague, where he arrived for NATO meetings and was able to wrangle an agreement from our allies to more than double their defense spending target from 2% of gross domestic product to 5% by 2035. Back at home, Trump claimed that he's reached a trade deal with China and soon expects the same with India. Of course, Trump's initial imposition of tariffs wreaked havoc on American markets back in the spring, but now the markets have rebounded and grown, and it's not just the stock market. Inflation, the great economic fear of recent times, seems to be tamed. Meanwhile, blue-collar workers have seen real wage growth of 1.7% in Trump's first 5 months. This is the largest such increase in nearly 3 generations. Notwithstanding its impact on our national debt, there's also hope among some that Trump's big, beautiful bill will give further financial relief to blue-collar workers, as well as create incentives to build more factories in the U.S. And then there's the border. Crossings have slowed to a trickle. According to CBP's May update, Southwest border encounters have fallen to about 282 a day, a drop of 93% from last year, and the lowest since the early 1960s. Yesterday came a huge decision from the Supreme Court. The High Court declared that federal district judges exceeded their authority when issuing nationwide injunctions against Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. This will, of course, strengthen executive power both for Trump and for his successors. Winning became a punchline that Trump's opponents used to lampoon him in his first administration. He was a political novice then, surrounded by a team with which he was unfamiliar, and he was probably as surprised as the rest of us were that he won the election. This time is different. This time he came with a plan and a cabinet with senior advisors comprised of loyalists all well known to the president. And recently, he's exhibited a more layered approach to governing on both the domestic and international front, no longer solely guided by winning each day's news cycle. By any objective measure, President Trump has his opponents on the run.
Folks, it's only 1 week. 1 week, and we've got endless wins. You know, they were telling us about endless wars. Here comes the next endless war. Well, I'm seeing something different. I'm seeing endless wins, endless W's. You know, Caroline Leavitt used to always say that Trump accomplished more in 1 week than Joe Biden did in 4 years. And for the most part, you know, you've heard that before. It's kind of like a hyperbolic political statement. But in this case, I think we could switch out the word hyperbole for literal. It's less of a hyperbolic statement and seems more like a literal statement of fact, because Trump is accomplishing more in a week than Joe Biden did in 4 years. When you actually look at the track record, it's freaking astonishing. We got Donald Trump bringing peace to a powder keg about to blow up in the Middle East. He comes in stealth at night, totally obliterates Iran's nuclear capabilities, then immediately moves to negotiate a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Then like 2 days later, he gets on a plane, goes to a NATO summit, and gets every European ally except for Spain, but trust me, they'll be coming online, line gets all of them to commit 5% of their GDP to defense spending. We're talking billions of dollars in additional investment coming from European nations, which puts a whole lot less financial stress on the American nation. Then President Trump wakes up and says, you know what? Let's bring peace to Rwanda and the Congo.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, for having us here. I think I can summarize my contribution in 3 main points. First of all, thank you and congratulations indeed for this remarkable milestone, which is putting an end to 30 years of conflict and of suffering, and which is redefining the perspectives that millions of Congolese and of citizens of the greater Great Lakes region will have. The second point is stay committed, stay on board. We need the United States to make sure that this agreement holds and that you hold us accountable. And the third point is, if you stay on board, I think there are so many perspectives that we can transform our partnerships through and that can usher in an era of prosperity, of growth, and of shared bilateral relationships that go well beyond the challenges that we've shared together and that can at least or finally focus on the potential and of the wealth that we can share. So again, our heartfelt gratitude to you on my behalf, but more importantly, on behalf of the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
We got a peace deal coming out of there. Then we've got the finalization of the China trade deal, which was just signed. We've got the Supreme Court ruling in President Trump's favor, ending the judicial coup that we've been witnessing, limiting the abuse of nationwide injunctions. We've also got the court giving Trump permission to send illegal immigrants to third-party countries. We got the S&P and NASDAQ hitting record highs. The Pentagon reinstating military personnel who were wrongfully fired over the COVID jab. DEI continues to collapse across the nation as well as the University of Virginia just watched their DEI president pack their bags and walk out finally, which is thanks to this administration's pressure. We've also got multiple food giants who are now caving into the MAHA pressure, finally committing to removing dangerous dyes and chemicals from their products. I mean, just win after win, and everything I just listed there happened in the last 7, maybe 10 days. Call it a week. It's getting undeniable. It's getting to the point where lying is no longer sustainable for CNN. Remember in the middle of Joe Biden's failing presidency when it was just so clear that Joe Biden was shot, it was game over, when Joe Biden's approval rating was in the low to mid 30s, things got so bad for Joe Biden's public image that even CNN couldn't keep up the charade anymore. And so we'd get kind of little admissions of truth here and there. Well, it's kind of the same situation except the exact opposite. The failure isn't what's undeniable. That's not what they can no longer spin. It's the successes. At one point, when things are going so well around you, well, in that environment, you can't exactly continue to say the sky is falling. Because if you do, you might take the biggest credibility hit known to mankind. And obviously, these networks can't sustain any more hits to their credibility. And so they're put in this desperate position with their backs against the wall where they have to admit that President Trump was right, that he's doing a good job, that his ideas, his policies are working. And that's essentially exactly what CNN said yesterday. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.